Hmm. Peace and blessings, family. I am here once again to share some frequency of the 1111. This one is called 1111 All Dimensional Update. There's so many insights with regards to the 1111. I actually uploaded an 1111 video on yesterday and realized that there was a lot of other information that's very important to be sharing. One thing that can be a bit of a limitation is the tendency to see the 1111 as applicable only to the once a year occurrence of the 11th of November, 1111, and then of course the 2 times a day when we see 1111 on the clock in the AM as well as in the PM. And the 1111 is an all-dimensional frequency. It's a portal. A portal is likened to a wormhole, like when we've seen in the different sci-fi movies when one goes through a wormhole in a spaceship and go from one galaxy to a completely different galaxy in an instant. And this is a portal of consciousness where we can portal from a lower frequency of awareness and a lower frequency of consciousness to a completely higher dimension of consciousness. 1111 is an access code to the Ascension frequency. One of the most profound things that I realized about the 1111 is relative to the tarot, that in cracking the code of the tarot, there is an alignment with the 1111 in a profoundly powerful way. So in the major arcana of the tarot, there are 22 cards, and there's 4 cards within the major arcana that specifically crack the code that also key into the 1111. So there is the Fool that takes the journey, steps off of the cliff, which is stepping down from the celestial heights into manifestation. And fool does not mean fool in the literal sense. It is really an exalted frequency, but it's called the Fool, and some decks it would be referred to as Hyoka. It's a coyote kind of an energy. It represents an energy that is unpredictable, and an energy that says, I'm going to be me, the whole me, and nothing but me in spite of what's expected of me. So in the tarot, key 0 is the Fool. That represents us, that takes the human journey. The first step in the journey is the Magician. That's the first key. And then the middle key is Justice. And we decipher justice in a deeper way by recognizing that it is not Justice, which is just ice, but rather Justis, which is just is. Because in many of the justice systems that we have within our world, we see the Justice, the just ice. But true justice is a resonance of that which just is. So that's the midpoint of the journey. And then the final step in the journey is the world. In some decks, it's called the universe. So when we take those 4 keys, the Fool, the Magician, Justice, and the world, and crack the code of the tarot, we get the Fool, Magician, just is the world. Or the Fool, Magician, just is the universe. Or that fool soul, whether it be you or me or any one of us, just is the universe. The 1111 is a total of 22. 22 is a master number that represents the alchemical frequency. It has a connection to the planet Pluto, and it's a resonance of transforming pain into bliss, transforming darkness into light, transforming base metals into gold, transforming poison into potion. And so we want to take advantage of all of these different principles associated with the 1111. It's also a very strong resonance of relationship. 1 and 1 equals 2, and 2 is the number of relationship. When we operate from the premise of the 11, that's an up-leveling of the frequency of the 2, because when we're resonating with the 2 vibration, sometimes there's a tendency to give the power away to the other, or to make the other more important than we are, when there's always an equality of importance. 11 is 1 standing equally by 1. And so one of the key insights and expressions of wisdom with the 1111 is the recognition of equality, that no being is greater than another or less than another, that God can't be greater than God nor less than God. And so we are 1 standing equally by 1. That is the wisdom of the 1111 frequency. We could also see it as God standing equally by Goddess. There's an equality in the resonance of God and the resonance of Goddess. God standing equally by creation. There is an equality of God and creation, because creation is born out of the fabric of God's own being. And when God is creating something that is an extension of God's own being, then that something has an equality with Creator, because it is fashioned after the fabric of Creator. 1 standing equally by 1, God standing equally by Goddess, man standing equally by woman, and every being standing equally by every other being. When we look at the year 2022, 2 and 2 and 2 is 6, and key 6 in the tarot is the Lovers. So the very year of 2022 is a strong resonance of elevating in our understanding of and connection with relationship. Recognizing that we come together to reveal one another to each other, that we are able to more greatly decipher who we are by virtue of the relationships that we circle in with. They are always a mirrored reflection of some vital part of who we are. Our relationships represent those who are starring in the movie of our life. When we're in relationship, we experience that beloved on the screen of our life. We experience them objectively, just as when we see a movie, we experience the movie objectively on the screen. And yet, in truth, the movie is not on the screen, but rather the movie is in the projector. And so the beloved that we dance with in relationship appear to be on the screen of our life, so that we can have an outward objective experience with them, but in truth they are generated from the internal essence of who we are, because every being that we engage with in the whole of life is always a cellular counterpart within us. We have multitudinous cells within us, one for every being in the whole of existence. And then when we experience beings in the objective sense, they appear on the screen of our life so that we can have an objective experience with them, to then generate a deeper understanding of our subjective reality of our own self. Every relationship is a mirrored reflection of some vital part or vital parts of who we are in the inner sanctum of our being. The power of the connection to the inner dimensions of life is very much amplified when we're in the frequency of 1111. We can tap into the interdimensionality and the multidimensionality. All of that becomes much more available to us because the veils are so thin. We want to feel our part in the all-dimensional creation. We want to feel humility and compassion for those who dance in the shadows, as well as our own self when we get caught in the shadows of life. Having humility and compassion. Every being in the whole of life is a mirrored reflection of some vital part of me, either my current self, yester self, future self, or at the very least, potential self. And the lowest devil can't go lower than the lowest that I, as well as every one of us, are capable of. As the highest angel can't fly higher than the highest that we are all capable of. And so we want to have love and compassion and humility relative to the shadows of life, whether those shadows be exemplified through others or exemplified through our own self. We want to have faith in the possibility of redemption for ourselves, as well as the possibility of redemption for all others. That's another one of the frequencies of the 1111 is just tremendous compassion, tremendous universal love, as well as an elevation of consciousness that always believes in the higher possibilities of ourself and the higher possibilities of every being. Humility, compassion, faith, and elevation. And so, the 1111 is a portal to eternal remembrance. The eternal remembrance of the fact that we each carry the knowledge of everything that is, was, or ever will be. Even in the human experience, we engage in forgetfulness. The veil drops, and we move through life operating with 10% or so of our mind and brain capacity. And that other percentage of mind, that greater percentage of mind and brain, is very much associated with that divine connection that we share with Creator Source. And that connection that we share with Creator Source is available to us through the frequency of 1111. And the 1111 brings a wisdom and an understanding that God has a center that is everywhere and a circumference that is nowhere. There is no spot where God is not. And we, being descendant of Creator Almighty, we also have a center that is everywhere and a circumference that is nowhere. Again, one standing equally by one. A center that is everywhere. If I have a center that is everywhere, then I am joined in center with every other being in the whole of existence. All of the wisdom that exists within life is in alignment with every other expression of wisdom. One expression of wisdom standing equally by every other expression of wisdom. Any increment of knowledge or wisdom can be an access code to all knowledge and wisdom. Just like a cell within our body is a full-on access code to our entire body. The entire body can be reproduced through one cell, from anywhere within the body, the eyebrow, belly button, big toe. Every cell is carrying the entire genetic blueprint of the whole body. One aspect of the body standing equally by every aspect of the body. 1111, Ascension code, access code to the all that is, utilizing the fact that the veil is so thin, and also realizing that 1111 is a frequency that is available to be partaken of at any time. We don't have to wait for November the 11th. We don't have to wait for the clock to become 1111 in the morning or the evening, even though those are auspicious times and they can be a great access code to this elevated frequency. And we can also tap into that frequency of 1111 at any time, because every time is now. Every ascension is standing equally by every other ascension. When a being ascends, it flashes before the eyes of the soul every other ascension that is, was, or ever will be, because there is a oneness of wholeness of ascension, one standing equally by one, all one, not alone, all one. 1111 teaches us that even when we stand exclusively in our own individualized selfhood, we are at that same moment all one. One individual standing equally by every other individual. Every accomplishment is standing equally by every other accomplishment. That's why we can access universal accomplishment. Every being in the whole of existence that is achieving something represents our own self achieving that something by extension, because we are one with that being. They are one with us. They live as a cellular counterpart within our being, and we live as a cellular counterpart within their being. One standing equally by one. And so I'm going to offer some tones now to be carrier waves of all of this information that has been shared. All of the wisdom available in the 1111 frequency sent forth as carrier waves upon these tones. Ascended Clan, I'm calling you to guide me on my way back home. I deeply yearn to now return and claim my Ascension throne, the fifth dimension and beyond, inheritance above the sky. To heaven's call I now respond, in higher realms forever fly. Ascended Clan, I ask for this not only for myself. Let every being upon this earth partake of heaven's wealth. Even unto earth herself she also would return, to end the madness of this flesh. A fire within us burns. Please help us to remember that we all are innocent, and by mercy and compassion unto heaven we are sent. And by mercy and compassion unto heaven earth is sent. Resurrection of Ascension, and God is found in man and woman, and we all are family members of the great Ascended Clan. The love of God within my heart has healed and set me free. A love that is because I am, therefore I love me. Among the great Ascended Clan I am eternally. All praise and thanks unto the elevated frequency of the 1111. I'm Miraculii. I love you so much.